All right, adding and subtracting decimals. Please put that title between the top two lines and put your date at the top. This may sound like a familiar topic, but I want to make sure that you understand the way that I explain it and the way that I'll be talking about it all year long. So let's take some notes as always. First note, always line up the matching place values before adding or subtracting decimals. So the important thing is that we're adding or subtracting tens with tens and hundredths with hundredths. So we always want to line up our place values, and you got to be neat. And I know a lot of us dudes especially don't like to be neat, but we got to be neat when we do this. And a little mini note I put is that lining up the decimals will help. So if you line up the decimals, it will usually help you to line up the place values, but that's the most important, is lining up the place values. If you're going to use that little tip, then you need to know that if there is no decimal given for a number, then it goes after the last digit. So if I say 212, you don't always say 212 and then put a decimal there, but the decimal would go at the end. So let's do an example or two. The first one, please summarize this just as I do. So Jared swam his first lap in 16 and 83 hundredths seconds, and his second lap of a two-lap race in 21 and 95 thousandths seconds. What was Jared's total time? So for some notes, we might just put like Jared is the main man in this one, and his first lap and second lap times were 16 and 83 hundredths S for seconds, and 21 and 95 thousandths S for seconds. We need to add, because we're looking for the total time, so we need to put these together. Again, we're going to line up the decimals. So 16 and 83 hundredths. And I'll line up the decimals, line up the place values, so the tens placed, 21 and 95 thousandths. And we're adding, like we said. So on the far right, we have 5 plus, there's an imaginary 0 that they didn't have to write, but we can write it in. 5 plus 0 is 0, 9 plus 3 is 12, carry a 1, 8 plus 1 plus 0 is 9. Our decimal drops right down, because our place values are all in sync. 6 plus 1 is 7, and 2 plus 1 is 3. So Jared's time was 37 and 925 thousandths seconds. Number 2, Mr. Schwartz listened to 63 and 4/10 minutes of Justin Bieber last week. He listened for 19 more minutes than Rosalinda. This is pretty typical. Fresh J Beeb song is pretty great if you haven't heard it. And how long did Rosalinda listen? Okay, so you know how long I listened, and you know that I listened for longer. It says I listened for 19 more minutes than Rosalinda. So we talked about this before. More typically means addition, but you know that I've listened for a set amount of time, and you know I've listened longer. So to find Rosalinda's, it has to be less. We're going to subtract 19 minutes from how long I've listened. So Mr. S listens 63.4 or 63 and 4/10 minutes. Rosalinda, she is 19 minutes less. That's an awful E. Better. So we're going to subtract in this case. Again, we have to line up our decimals, 63 and 4/10, and 19 would just, we know that finishes in the ones place. We're going to subtract 19. We can, again, put in an imaginary 0. 0 from 4 is 4. 9 from 3 we have to borrow. 9 from 13, that's better. 13 ones, we traded in 1 10 and got 10 ones, so we have 13 ones. So 9 from 13 is 4 ones. 1 from 5, that's 4 tens. So our decimal drops right down, 44 and 4/10 minutes. So I always finish with the sentence, Rosalinda listened for 44 and 4/10 minutes. Per usual, I am going to leave you with your own problems to try out, so here they are. Please follow the directions and summarize those. Take down the important notes before you do your operation. Make sure it makes sense. and put a complete sentence at the end. I will see you soon.